Subscribe to see what's next. It's Cut City Connect.
What is the deal? It's your boy TJay Anderson, and I am coming to you to bring you another episode. Hey, check it out. I got a very special guest, and he hails all the way from, you know what? I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna let you have the floor, my man.
What's up, y'all? Wait, Coach TJ, thanks for having me, man. For everybody here watching, my name is Isaiah Fernandez. I go by Coach Zay. I'm all the way from Hopewell, Virginia, a little small town in Virginia, like right 25 minutes outside of Richmond. And I just started here at the University of Texas Tech with the Lady Raiders. This is my first month on the job here, and I'm thankful to be here, and I'm thankful to talk a little bit about myself and a little bit more about my journey. And I'm thankful for Coach TJ having me online with you guys. So appreciate you having me, Coach.
Hey, brother, it's a blessing that you're here, and like I say on every episode, it's a blessing for anyone to come on because you could have said no, but you said yes. And hey, sometimes that's all you need, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's dope. I'm dope. I'm thankful to be here. Happy to be here.
Let's get into it. So first, Coach Zay, I want to get into the background and journey, right? So my first question for you is, how did you get started in coaching, and what inspired you to pursue this path?
Oh, that's a good question. My story is a little bit unique. Like I said, I'm from Hopewell, Virginia, so I just skipped right to high school. Started high school varsity point guard as a freshman. So I played from my freshman year to my junior year high school. I was on varsity. It was a good experience for me. I thought it helped me learn the game a lot faster, so I was able to improve with that. And then I got pretty good, but then it come to my senior year, I got injured. So I had not a typical injury, but I got one of those type of stories where I got hurt my senior year. So didn't get recruited coming out of high school. So I was wondering what's my next step, because I loved basketball and I knew I wanted to stick around it. So I was trying to find a way to stick around basketball and find something that helped me have a career out of it without being able to play. So I had a coach. I had two coaches that kind of helped me on this journey. One was a student manager prior to being my high school coach. He was a student manager at Virginia Tech, and he was like, you should probably look into doing that. You still get to be around the facility, you get to be around the coaches, the players, things of that nature. And I was like, at the time, my whole thing was I didn't want to be a what if, because I was pretty known where I was at. I wasn't the best, but I was respected, So I'm like, all right, so let's see what it's about. So then another one of my coaches, his best friend was Brian Stiff, who was at the time an assistant at Old Dominion University in Virginia. That's where I went for undergrad. So I ended up enrolling there. I went to go meet with Coach Stiff and just figure out what it would look like for me to be a manager on the men's side, obviously. So I wanted to be a men's assistant. I wanted to coach men's basketball. But I went to their office. I met with Coach Stiff. Coach Stiff was cool. We chopped it up about who I know, who he knows, and he's legendary in Virginia. If nobody knows what Brian Stiff is, you need to go do your research on that. But from that conversation on, I just felt like, not necessarily from him, but there was other people on staff that I had to talk to get the opportunity to be a manager, and they just weren't as welcoming. So I was like, let me see. So what I did was, as I was an undergrad, I emailed some other coaches that were on staff there. So I emailed his name was Jim Corrigan. He was the women's assistant at Old Dominion at the time. And I set up a meeting with him, and we just had a conversation. He had been coaching for a long time. He played at Duke, had coached at Duke, but he was on the men's side. He was on the women's side. And we just had a conversation, and I asked him, I knew what girls basketball was at the time, but I had no interest in it, never had worked in it or nothing like that. So I just asked him, what were the benefits or what he liked and what he didn't like from coaching both sides of it. And I had a good conversation. And from there on, I was able to become a women's manager at Old Dominion University. I took off from there. Got an opportunity to work with a Hall of Famer and Nikki McCray-Penson, who is a former Lady Vol. She played for Pat Summit. She ended up winning a national championship at South Carolina under Dawn Staley with Asia Wilson and more. And she got the job at Old Dominion. So she's coming in, and I got to learn under her as a student manager. And then from there, I realized that I could probably be pretty good at this because she gave me a lot of opportunity and I got to learn from her staff consistently. And then we were really good at Old Dominion. And then I got an opportunity to go to Mississippi State. So at Mississippi State, I was there during COVID for 2 years and I was a graduate assistant. And as the years went on, I just felt like this was what was for me. And this was kind of the path that I knew I needed to take to have an opportunity to get into coaching, which is what I ultimately wanted to do. And then from Mississippi State, I got an opportunity to go to the University of New Mexico because one of my coaches that I was at Old Dominion with, also that I was at Mississippi State, his name is Keith Freeman. I call him Granddad, but he was someone that I was able to follow during my journey. And he was kind of like a mentor to me. And he got a job at New Mexico after we left Mississippi State as associate head coach. And I'm looking to get my first full-time job now. So school's done. I got my master's. I got my undergrad. I'm like looking for my first full-time job. And I was about to take a job at a D2 in Nashville. It's called Trevecca University. I was about to take that job. And then Keith calls me. So this will pick up later as we talk about networking and who you know and what you don't know and knowing the right people. But anyway, Keith calls me as I'm on campus at Trevecca, like doing my little tour, about to sign paperwork. Keith calls me and he's like, basically they needed someone in New Mexico to do like player development. And that was kind of what my thing was as I was coming up. Like I liked working with our players. That was kind of how I built my respect because I didn't play, but I was on the scout team. So everybody knows what a scout team is. We have players, every Division I program or any college program has guys that come in and practice against the women to kind of prepare them for the opponent. So I was a practice player and that was kind of my way of getting my respect by the players and the staff to say, well, I know he didn't play, but he knows what he's doing. So as that happened, Keith called me. So I was like, yeah, I wanted to do it because I had a little bit of an ego at the time. I definitely wanted to stay D1. I went from Old Dominion to Mississippi State and then going to D2 was like, I feel like I'm better, not better than this, but I feel like I've earned the right to be able to stay at this level. So Keith called me and he was also someone that I had been under, I was comfortable with, and I knew he wouldn't steer me wrong. So I was like, absolutely, I want to come work for you again. So got the call, got the interview, moved back to Mississippi, I was in Starkville, Mississippi, moved back to Starkville, and then ended up going to Albuquerque. And then from Albuquerque, I was there the last 4 years. We had some good seasons there, had some good players. And then now I ended up here at Texas Tech with the Lady Raiders. But to say all that that inspired my path was me not wanting to be a what-if story because, again, I went from playing to getting injured to like now what. So my whole drive and that whole process was just me having the will to make some out of my journey and not being the kid that got injured and never played again and just fell off the face of the earth. So I still wanted to try to find a way to make a name for myself. And I think I'm doing a really good job at that.
Hey, and I usually don't do this, but you're doing a damn good job, my man. That's a very beautiful story. Just to want to be involved with the game and then to say, like, you know what, I think I'm instead of going the men's way, let me try this women's way,
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because you sound like me, like even with coaching, right? I've always been, I'm a coach to men, but especially down here in my area, man, I'm starting to see that it's a lot of girls that are just not playing anymore, just because a lot of them just don't have the motivation, and a lot of them are just kind of falling by the wayside. So, I've become a lot more open now with me being 32 years old. I've become a lot more open to wanting to work with girls as well and coaching them. And I found that there's beauty in coaching both sides, right?
Absolutely.
Even down here in Texas, man, kind of a ways from you, we just had a coach that made history. I think last year or the year before at Duncanville, he coached the girls program in one state and turned around and became the boys coach after the boys coach left, and won state with the boys. So he holds a state title with the girls and the boys basketball program there at Duncanville High School. Man, a lot of talent over there. Loads of talent on the boys and the girls side, man. Loads of talent. But man, that's a beautiful story, man. So something that you said that interested me was your playing career, right? So I kind of want to double back on that and talk about that just real briefly, right? So what was your playing career like, and how has it shaped the way you coach today?
So like I said, so I came in as a freshman. I played varsity basketball for my 3 years of high school. And then like I said, how they shaped me. Just playing point guard, man, I learned the game fast and early. So I feel like once I got to my junior year, I was just like I understood it. I understood it. And I was known as I was a pass first guy. I was very known to be a pass first player to the point where like I used to get yelled at for not taking the shots. I probably should have because I was so unselfish. I was always trying to get other people involved. So I was more of a facilitating defender. I could guard for sure, but I could also, even though I wasn't the best scorer, I could also make plays for others. So I know that sounds crazy, like a little bit like my favorite players growing up were like Jason Kidd was my guy. I thought I assembled him a lot. Rondo, of course, another pass first type of guard that was really good at, even though you might think that you didn't have to guard him, he always made an impact. He was someone else. And one that was actually coming up that I really, because I was also a lefty too, was Kendall Marshall. Kendall Marshall was a guard, yes, at North Carolina. He was somebody I really watched too because I felt like he was a lefty just like I was, so we resembled each other a lot. With that being said, though, how's it shaped me as a coach and how's it transitioning to this point? The IQ of the game. Like I said, one way I was able to earn my respect was just being able to be on the floor and show that, all right, you can give me certain things and I could do it. And it wouldn't take me but so long to do it. So my IQ was, I think I have a really good mind for the game. So I try to pass it on to my players now. Because a lot of the time on women's basketball, the kids they're just usually better than their competition. So then when they're playing as far as athleticism or skill, but once the playing field gets even, it's up here. How soon can you, or how quickly can you make those reads on the offensive end or even the defensive end, and how quickly can you make those right decisions consistently? So that's kind of how my game was modeled when I was younger. I was smart. I was a smart player, and coaches know you had the game plan for me because I was going to come with it, and I was able to get the looks that we wanted. But now that's kind of how I try to transition my game into what I'm able to do on both ends on the floor, just on the sideline now. I'm trying to keep my kids to have the mental capacity or the IQ to be able to have the confidence to go out there and understand it's basketball, and it can be repetitive at times, but how good can you be consistently with what you're constantly seeing? You saw all this stuff before, but how quickly can your mind process what's happening so that you can make the right reads to give yourself a chance to win?
Hey, and what you said is actually extremely accurate, right? Because you can see the same thing over and over again. That doesn't mean you're going to get the same output, right?
Right.
Like,
right.
You can see you can run the same play, right? And then there's one play you might have the three in the corner open, right? So the defense adjusts, right? You run the same play, the defense is like, well, we've seen this before. That corner three is shut down. Oh, well, guess what? Now you can pass it to the corner, the opposite corner is open, right? So it's always an evolving thing when it comes to basketball, right? Because you're constantly having to make solid reads, especially from the point guard position, right? Because you're essentially the coach on the floor. So you have to be able to make those reads. You have to be able to know what plays are going to work. And this is why when it comes to coaching, I always ask kids on the court, even though a lot of times it's like this for them, I get them to slow down. I'm like, okay, hold on, slow down.
Right.
What do you see? Tell me what you see. Well, this player's up here. Okay, they're in a 3-2 zone, right? Okay, I got you, coach. I got you. Sometimes it's stuff like that. But yeah, man, when it comes down to it, you have to be in that mindset to be able to make those solid reads, right? Because like I say, the game is forever and ever evolving, especially on the court. It's constant changing, constant defensive changes, constant offensive changes. So,
and I'm gonna add something to that too. I just had a conversation with one of our freshman point guards yesterday. I was just telling her, and I don't know if she's ever even heard this before, but the way she was looking at me, it was like, oh. But I was like, you understand, right? Like, you not reading the person in front of you. You're so skilled enough, you're going to get by the first line of defense. That ain't even no thing. Can you read the people that's going to be the help? Can you read them? And how quickly can you do it to know where the ball need to go? The longer it takes you to read that, the harder it is going to be for you to play at this level. And that usually was difference, or that's usually the difference between a mid-major kid or a P5 kid.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly can you process what's happening? And then she was looking at me like, I don't know if she ever heard that before, but I know it stuck because I'm like, you gotta look at it that way. Like, oh, I'm going to get by you. Now it's a matter of who's going to help you. If don't nobody help you, it's me. Whoever helps you, that's where the ball goes. Like, just play ball. But that's kind of what that's how I learned how to play ball at a young age, and that's kind of what has helped me grow as a coach because I feel like I have that niche that I'm smart enough to understand how to process whatever's happening on either end of the floor.
Hey, and I kind of add to that too. What it's a good thing that you're preaching it to her as a freshman, because the speed of the game is tremendously more up here than
Yeah.
it was when she was a senior. Like,
Hmm.
it's not comparable. So, and even at the P5 level, like, you're playing some very stiff competition that's gonna go out there and go get it on a nightly basis.
Right.
So you have to be sure that you not only do you know your X's and O's, but you got your reads right. So it's a good thing that you preaching it to him, my man. Um, so the next segment of this episode, I want to get into the coaching philosophy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your core coaching philosophy, especially when working with young athletes in the grassroots and AAU space?
For me, and I preach this a lot of the time, basketball is a simple game, so I try not to overcomplicate it at all. So the main thing that I'm always, for me specifically, when I'm having individual time with my players, or if I'm leading a drill or something like that, the main thing I preach is just control the controllables. Control the controllables. There's a lot of things that's going to happen within your life, and a lot of the time, I'll say this: a lot of the things that I preach or I try to give to my players is like life lessons that you're learning through basketball. I always tell them like basketball is teaching you life lessons. That's all it is. It's teaching you life lessons. You're lucky enough to be able to learn life through this game. Okay, so the things that we're going to be teaching you, or at least that I try to preach, are going to be life lessons. Not necessarily that's just going to help you in basketball, but life lessons that's going to help you on your journey as you become a young woman in this world. So, like I said, controlling the controllables, like your energy, your effort, your body language, being a good teammate, how you treat people, how you respond to things, like what you allow to affect you, things of that type of those type of things is that what I try to preach to you or to my players that's kind of what my philosophy is. If you can control those things, we will deal with. We're speaking basketball. We'll deal with missed shots. We'll deal with okay, it was bad timing on something, but how do you respond to that teammate when it happens? How do you respond when I'm getting on you? Those are the type of things that you can control. So worry about those things, and everything else will take care of itself. Like I said, I try to simplify things because I've learned when you give kids too much at this age, it's already a lot. The transition going from high school to college, and you realizing how much you have to grow up, so it's already a lot. So when it comes to what my coaching philosophy, I just try to make sure we focus on the things that we can control. So I can control how I come into practice every day. So can you. I understand you're young and things are happening in life, but for this hour or 2 hours that we're going to be in here, you control what you can control. And then hopefully it'll help you stop worrying about the things that you can't. So that's my big thing on it when it comes to my coaching philosophy. And I try to preach it and preach it and preach it. And I've seen it help kids. And then there's some kids that just can't help themselves. But I try to be very consistent with preaching about controlling the controllables. And when you do that, usually good things happen.
Absolutely. Look, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. So, last season I was blessed with the opportunity to have won tickets to go watch the University of Houston's women's basketball team, right? And I got to watch them play against I believe it was UTSA. But man, it's crazy because I think they kind of go along with the ethics of them as well, right? Like when I seen them make a bad play, or if I seen them like turn the ball over or just something, right? I never seen one of those girls. And not to mention last year, I think they had like 3 freshmen out there that was getting playing time. I never seen that one girl hang their head down. Even after they did lose, they ended up losing the game. But even in that instance, none of them hung their heads down. So I think it kind of goes along with like instilling ethics in them and instilling a focus drive to where they know, hey, I gotta get it. I can't stop. I gotta keep going. And having that as a coaching philosophy and instilling that into kids, like to get them to the point where they can not just be kids but grow into adults and grow into women, like that's a absolutely fantastic thing, my man. And I applaud you for that because there's not a lot of people out here that want to do it.
Right. And I'm gonna add to that too, because like you're speaking about like in-game things. Another thing is like basketball is so fast paced, it's so up and down. You usually have a chance to make up for any mistake that you make.
Oh, absolutely.
Usually, right? Usually. So that's another thing. Like I'm always saying next play, next shot. No matter, and again, I'm on the sideline, so I might react to something that you do because we preach this to you. Okay, so I might look frustrated, but at the same time, I'm going to make sure that all right, next possession, I'm gonna make sure I'm still cheering you on. Next possession, I'm still talking to you where you're supposed to be on the defensive end. So that's another reason why I preach it that way, is because like you got to get over stuff quickly. You got to get you can't sit there and dwell on it. You can't sit there and feel bad for yourself. It's like, all right, next play. And you see it there's times where someone's just having a bad game and it just might not be your night. All right, cool. But you always have a chance. That's the beauty of it to me. You always have a chance to make up for a mistake quickly. So like you might miss a shot or you might miss a box out. Now you come out the next play, you get a steal. You might get a charge. You might get a big rebound that you might not feel like is that impactful. But once kids realize how important every single possession is, especially when you get to this level, it's a beauty. So that's another reason I try to preach it that way, just to keep it's mental. You're gonna hear me say this a lot. A lot of the things I'm talking about is on the mental side of it. It has nothing to do with your athleticism or your skill, but having a strong mental capacity to go through those ups and downs and being poised in the flow of a game is very crucial.
Absolutely. And you know what's crazy? You mentioned the word skill just now, right?
Right.
So I kind of want to piggyback off that word with this next question, right? So how do you balance skill development, toughness, and building character in your players?
I would say this. I was thinking about this question a lot. I feel like there's pieces of the day where you're doing this at all times, especially during practice. But some of the things that I've learned that helps with that is shout out my girl, Coach Jada. She just taught me this year, and it stuck with me when she told me, because we have a kid here that she's on heavy. She's a freshman. She's on her. She's on her all the time. And that's all I see is that she's on her. But when I spoke to this young lady, when Coach Jada wasn't around, to see how like highly she spoke of her when she wasn't in the room lets me know that Coach Jada was doing something right. And I asked her, like, I told her, I was like, you're doing really good with so-and-so because she loves you, and I watch you be tough on her. And she's like, you got to love them harder than you coach them.
Absolutely.
You got to love them harder than you coach them. And I mean, it sounds so simple, but like I watched it in real time and I was like, I hear you. So you have to have that balance of where, like you said, you just got to love them harder than you coach them. So that's one way that I try to find out that balance with that. So that being that once we get to the basketball stuff, we try to create chaos. I'm always trying to create some type of chaos during any type of individual or any type of instruction. And chaos could be something as small as I say, all right, you're going to shoot 2 free throws. If you miss one, you got to run it down the back. It could be something that's so as small as that. And it's so dope. Because for me, my favorite part of coaching is watching them mature. So I work with a freshman and I see how mentally it gets to them because like, I got to run. Nobody wants to run, right? So I got to run. So there's a little bit of pressure, a little bit of chaos, and just one free throw that causes your mental to drop. And now you think about it too much. Now you done missed the free throw that you've been shooting your whole life. So trying to find a way to create that consistent chaos through just anytime I'm with them to kind of get their mental straight is another way we kind of balance the skill development. Because again, it ain't just about the skill on the floor. This is your mental that we're working on as well. So that's another big key that we have here that I've been lucky to learn from our staff here. Another one I thought about, obviously practice itself has to be way harder than the game. So for example, I told you earlier, I've been a practice player since I've been working.
You talk about practice, coach?
Yeah.
Practice?
Practice has got to be way harder than what they're going to see in the game. So the way that I make sure that is possible, I'm a practice player still. I get to have the ability to play during practice against our players, which I love because I get to help prepare them and not necessarily just coach them. I'm also preparing you physically, right? So when I'm in practice, I'm going full speed. Okay, I'm not the best player in the world, but to them, they're like, yo, you're so fast. I'm 29 years old. These kids 18, 19, they probably quicker than me, but like the type of me being able to use my brain and the length that I have and just the experience I have to kind of get up under their skin a little bit, just to make them work harder is part of me making practice harder than the game. So I'm telling them all the time, like, if you can find a way to slow me down, because I'm pretty smart at the game. So I'm one of those players that I can fit in with any group and I can make a team. I'm not the best player, I'm not the best shooter, but I'm out there, you're gonna have a good chance of winning. So if you can find a way to slow me down or make me make mistakes, you're gonna be fine, because none of these other girls that you're gonna be playing against is gonna be as quick as me, as strong as me, as fast as me, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of another way that I kind of help to balance all those type of things, like the skill development, the toughness, and also it builds character. Be tough, like be competitive. I will tell you now, I talk. I talk in practice. So my whole philosophy, I'm trying to break you down mentally. I'm trying to find a way to get you upset during practice so that you can find a way to get through that adversity. I'm always, like I said, chaos, adversity. I'm always trying to find ways to build those type of things within practice. And our staff does a good job at that too. That's how I kind of do it from my way of it. And it's worked very well for me because I've had players that hate me in that 2 hours. But then like I told Coach Gerlich on my interview, there's not a kid that I haven't worked with or hasn't been on my team that won't speak highly of me because of those type of things. So those are just a couple ways we help balance those scenarios with skill development, toughness, like building character, things of that nature. So that's been really good to us.
And see, I love that about you, Coach, because I gotta say, when it comes to tough love, you gotta show it to them, especially the ones that you know are good and they're being lazy or they're just not playing good. And
Right.
I can't stand a lazy player. I don't care if you can play or not. I can't stand a lazy player. If you're going to be on the court, you're going to play. If you're going to be lazy, you can sit on the bench by me and we can talk about it, right?
Right.
So, you know, that goes along with my morals when it comes to coaching. And then another thing that you said that I really did like as far as building character is you know, just like you say, the talking, just, hey, if you can beat me, if you can get past me, I know you can get past these girls out here on the court.
Easy.
You know what I'm saying? I love that. Like, I love being active. I love active coaches. Like, I know one of them on the NBA side is Mike Malone, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he was with the Denver Nuggets, he was always like with the players, like, get past me. These guys are like, you know, I'm a $1 million athlete, right? Yeah. But they're taking them serious and they're getting past them. And he's kind of teaching those morals and ethics that you're teaching as well.
That's me for sure. I'm like, oh, y'all playing pickup? Oh, hold on, let me get my shoes. Hold on, let me bring my 5 in here. Hold on, like, what we doing? So, and I always tell them I got just a different I love the game so much. I just have a different respect for them. So I never go out there looking at them as, it might sound crazy, I'm not looking at them like, oh, y'all are young ladies. No, y'all are basketball, P5 basketball players. Like, I'm looking at y'all like, okay, I'm at that point, gender's out the way. I'm competitive. I want to work. I want to beat you. I hope you want to beat me. So that's kind of how it is, and it's worked for me in the past. So I make sure that's something I continue to do here.
That's how you instill in them, though, Coach Zay. That's exactly how you instill in them. Love it. So my next segment I want to get into is player development and grassroots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned freshmen. So I want to ask you this: what do you look for when evaluating talent at the AAU and high school level?
Gotcha. So we have like I said, I've been at Texas Tech for a month now, but I got to go eval last month. I was at Section 7 in Arizona. So we have a criteria here alone of what makes you a lady raider. But to keep it in broad scheme, there's this thing I just learned from my guy here. His name is Coach Walters. He gave me, it's called the 5 S's. And I'm gonna keep it real simple. This will let you know this is what we're looking for. At least if you got the 5 S's, you got a chance at least being looked at as a P4, P5 basketball player. So the 5 S's: size, Gotta have size, gotta have length. Depending on your position, that varies, but size is a big one. All right. Size, speed. Are you fast? Are you quick? Can you control pace? Right? Skill. Obviously, you gotta have skill. Can you pass with both hands? Are you able to pivot on the right feet? Is your footwork good? Are you fundamentally sound? Skills, things of that nature, right? Smart. Can you put two on the ball and you know where to go with it? Do you know what spots for example, you're a point guard, you take the ball out, you get the outlet pass, do you immediately get the ball to the middle of the floor? Stuff, little things like that, obviously, right? Do you stay off the sideline when you're the guard, right? And then spirit. All right, can you cheer for others? Simple. Can you be someone that doesn't have to have all the glory? Can you not take? Are you someone that's not able to take all the praise? Are you on the bench still communicating with your teammates? Are you finding ways to take the tension off of you? Are you a high spirit kid? Because there's a place for those type of kids. You might not be the most skilled, you might not be the most athletic, but if you're a good teammate, there's a place for kids like that. Because coaches like good kids, coaches like good people, and that always helps with the culture and your foundation that you're building. So there's always a place for those kids. So those 5 things, right? That automatically gets you a look, and then it gets deeper when you're going into like what your team needs. What do you specifically want from that position? But those 5 S's is something that is pretty broad, but that at least gets you intrigued about a prospect.
Absolutely. So for my viewers, for my ladies that are wanting to be future lady Red Raiders, right?
Yep.
You guys have to listen in, because this is what they're looking for, not just at Texas Tech, but on the D1 college level, right? Because we all want to get recruited. I want to get recruited, right? Even at my age. But I want the viewers to understand what's needed and what's necessary here, right? Because at the end of the day, you if y'all are gonna put in 12 solid years of work and you want your work to show for it with an offer, hey, Coach Zay is spitting the facts. He's spitting some dimes. So make sure you guys are tuning in. So, Coach Zay, my next question for you: what's one common mistake you see young players making, and how do you help them fix it?
Well, the big one, I know a lot of coaches could clap with me on this one. Like, passing has become a lost art. Passing, just being able to get on balance and make a good pass to someone. For some reason, the youth, and it probably is it's probably high school ball as well. It's probably part of that too. But like the youth just, I mean, you've heard this a lot. Everybody feels like they have to be the person that have the most shine. The shine is the person that scores the most points. Okay, somebody has to do it. But like there's a place for someone that will go out there and stop that opposing player from doing X, Y, and Z. There is a place for someone that can literally just go out there and consistently make the right play. There's a place for that. And the right play usually is making the right read or the right pass or taking the right shot. But like I said, the common mistake is losing the ability to pass. And I know it's hard to kind of work on those type of things when you're doing your individual things of that nature. That's why you got to incorporate a little bit more 3-on-3, 5-on-5, things of that nature. But for example, we play through the post here. Like we like really good 4 or 5 players here. So our guards have to be able to pass the basketball into the post. Very simple. Like that's a skill right there. If you can do that, that automatically gets you a look. Like, okay, she passed to the post pretty well. She knows what to do after she passes it to the post. She knows how that person's pretty tall, probably should lob it to him, like throw it in the air so they can go get it. Okay, but this 4 player is probably really athletic, so I can't throw her a bounce pass. But you have to be able to do those things. You can be smart enough to do it, but if you're not capable, then that just limits you, you know? So that's really a big one. And then also it's just like trying to be good at everything. You're trying to be, like I said, once you get to the next level, there's a role and there's roles to be filled. You have to figure out what you are good at and you have to excel at that. So I'm gonna give you another gem here. So like I told you, we have a criteria. What we do when we evaluate kids here, right? And one of them is does she have 2 elite skills? Just 2. Does she have 2 elite skills? Well, if you're kind of good at this or you're trying to be this and you're not that, then it's like, I don't know what you could do to help us on our team. Because I promise you, we're putting pieces to the puzzle here. We're not just taking kids and then figuring it out. We're specifically evaluating or recruiting kids that fit our system that we know can help us because they do 1 or 2 different things. So you got to find out what you're good at and really excel at that so you can be consistent at that. We lack consistency is what it boiled down to. We lack consistency. I can see you play on one day. I had this and this unfortunate. One day I'm like, that kid's, I don't know. Then the next day, oh, she's great. But I'm like, now I'm in a gray area because one day you played well because you were doing these things. And then the next day you didn't play well because you weren't doing these things. So find out what you're really good at and be able to do it consistently. So that's something that you can fall back on. So whether that's you playing super hard or whether that's you controlling the controllables, do those things and do it consistently so that you can give your coaches a good eval and they'll know when they're coming back to their head coach, they can say, well, I know she's going to be able to do this any given day, rain, sleet, or snow, sick or not. She's going to give you these 2 things right here, coach. So again, passing is a big one, and then just not understanding your role or not understanding yourself as a player are 2 things that the youth really lack right now.
I gotta say, you hit the nail on the head, man. I think I've seen on the high school scene on both sides, right, men's and women's side, these crazy shots, like from 35 and 40 feet, man. Like trying to do the step back, James Harden, like. I'm like, no.
I promise you we don't care. I promise you we do not care.
Yes. And see, the crazy thing is I preach this to boys and the girls, right? I tell them, look, defense is always going to get you money, right? Always. If you can hit the 3, especially the corner 3, you're going to get money. Because the thing is, like I like to tell kids all the time, not everyone's going to be the star. And that's just the big thing, right? Not everyone's gonna be the star. Not everyone is gonna be Kalina Smith, right?
Right.
Not everyone's gonna be Tatiana Griffin.
Too. Right.
Right. So
and my bad, coach, I don't mean to cut you off.
Are you good?
I just saw her for the first time this past weekend. You can't duplicate that.
No.
Just listening. Tatiana Griffin is 1 of 1. Kalina Smith is 1 of 1. Okay, you can't duplicate that. But you can be on that team and find out what they need, and that will show in the midst of that when coaches are watching you. But you got it taken care of. They know their role and they know it flows through them. So find a way to help them out, or find your way on that team that you can help stand out. Because obviously coaches are going to come watch her. But there's coaches that's like, all right, she's a good player. Let me see if she has some teammates that are good enough, maybe for our level. That's how it works. So you'll see some mid-majors probably at Tatiana Griffin game, and you're like, why they watching her? They ain't watching her. They trying to see if there's any of these other players who give them something, That's where the 2 being good at 2 good things come in at. So I want to give her a shout out because I wasn't aware of how good she was, and then I watched her that weekend. I was like, oh, okay.
Man, both of them can go. Yeah. Both of them can go. Just looking at the highlights, and I've watched full games. I'm like, goodness, great. And Kalina Smith can carve up a defense. Man. She can hit just money.
She put fear in everybody too. She just puts fear in you. She's so good. Like I said, she has to be that skilled for her size, but she's over the top now. Like she's gonna have a great career. She's gonna be a great kid. Whoever gets her is gonna be lucky to have her for sure.
Absolutely, man. So I kind of want to segue and go on to my next question for you, right? So, can you share a story of a player who really transformed under your coaching?
Yeah, this one is kind of hits home to me because this was probably the first kid that I really got to work with for somewhat of a period of time. So this was during my time at Mississippi State. Her name is Katerion Thompson. All right, you might not know that name, but y'all Google it. Katerion she's a pro now. She's playing overseas. She's played in multiple different countries. But it's a little bit about her story. So back when I told you I was at Old Dominion, right? And Coach McCray got the job at Mississippi State. So I went with her to be her grad assistant. So Katerion was being recruited to come to Old Dominion. So she was being recruited as a mid-major kid. She comes to us to Mississippi State. So now that's just a whole different ball game for her. And I didn't even know that. I didn't know that because I was not that involved when it came to the recruiting at the time. So I didn't know. So as I got to know her at Mississippi State, she told me a story. I was like, oh, you would have been really, really good in that league. You would have been really good. She could shoot the lights out. Couldn't really put the ball on the floor at the time. Wasn't really athletic. Had a hard time guarding the ball, especially in the SEC. Like, that's the best of the best. So for her, it was very hard transitioning from going to being able to play at a mid-major to coming to Mississippi State and like trying to find yourself. Now you got 6'7", you got 6'6". You playing against guards like Rakia Jackson, who's 6'3". Shout out Rakia, man. I'm praying for you. But Rakia was there at the time when I was there, and Rakia was a 6'3" WNBA pro as a freshman. So coming into that was very like overwhelming. So we fast forward. So Katerion ended up being there all her years. And now it comes time to she's done now. Like, college is over. I'm trying to go pro. And mind you, I'm also looking for a job at the time. So she was just like, basically, can you train me? And I worked with her that whole summer, which would have been 2 to 3 months. And I knew her game at the time because, I mean, she had been under my supervision. I watched her play, and I was already getting shots up with her then. She could already shoot. She could already do that. But for her to go to the next level to be a guard and have some confidence, she had to learn how to put the ball on the floor. So that whole summer, we worked on her ball handling, worked on her reads coming off ball screens. Obviously still got shots up, but more shots were coming like off the dribble, working on different footwork with a right foot pivot, left foot pivot, getting to a floater, like kind of trying to complete her whole game offensively, obviously, because she, at that point, she could guard. She had the confidence to be able to guard, because a lot of the time defense is more about having just the will and the guts to do it. So she ended up having it by that time, because at that point she had guarded Ryan Howard. So it was like, if I didn't had to step in front of her, I know I could probably guard some of these people I'm going to see in Germany or Finland or wherever she's going to play. So long story short, we got to that point where that summer she became really good. And her whole thing was her confidence. Her confidence was so sky high. She ended up going to play in England and in Greece and Turkey, won the MVP in some of those leagues, has averaging 30 over there. So she's someone that I really take pride in, because that was like the first one that I had like the time to really work with. And I can say it was just me and her every day for an hour and a half. It was just me and her. And I was just coming up with different drills to kind of get her right. And it worked. And like, she's still working on some contracts now to continue to play overseas. And that was COVID. So she's going on year 7 or 8 as a pro. So I told her, I was like, I'm going to be on the pod. I'm probably going to talk about you. So shout out to Katerion, man. And thanks for trusting in me. So that's one of my few that I got I got lucky to work with, and it paid off. So
beautiful story. And I have to say, it always is a great feeling to have when you can work with a kid and get them to where they need to be. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily sometimes where they want to be. That's, man, just, I don't know, it's just something it does to you. You know, it gives you this rush, and it gives you this motivation to keep going. Not just for the player, but for yourself, you know.
And I say for me, it's not even about I don't know how to really word it, but like, for me, it wasn't even about, she could have been a bad pro. For me, it was just, I was able to help you get to what you wanted. That's all it was. I was able to help you get to a point where you felt like you could spread your wings and you can do what you want to do now. You had enough confidence to go over there and say, I can make this a career now. So Katerion went from being a mid-major kid to going to the SEC, from getting no minutes to some minutes and making some big shots in some big games in some SEC competition, to having almost a 10-year career overseas. So shout out to her, man.
Hey, man, not like I say, not just to her, but to you too. You know, you took out the time to help her out, my man. And like I say, and I always say this, especially on the women's side, right? Not too many people want to do it. Mm-hmm. I think women's basketball deserves a lot of investment, more than it gets.
Right.
and to have those that want to do it and that care to do it,
Right.
you know, and have the love to do it is truly transitional. You know, it's inspirational, it's motivational, and it's a good thing. You know.
Right.
So next, I want to get into the current game and advice. Right now, as you're talking, you're not just preaching to the viewers; you're preaching to me as well, because I have aspirations and goals of getting into coaching myself one day. Right, and I love the fact that I connected with you, my man, because I'm hoping to have you with me along the way.
Always.
Um,
Likewise. Likewise.
but yes, sir, my man. So I want to ask. How have the grassroots and AAU scene changed in recent years with NIL, the transfer portal, and social media?
That's a good question. And I'll say I'm still learning. And it's even more politics than before. I'll just say that for one. But like I'm even learning, like I didn't realize NIL was even in the high school, going into the high school. So I know it's in the grassroots. So it's I'll say from when I was able to play, there were teams, but it was like limited and like you could, for example, I was in Virginia, I could probably name majority of the teams that were legit in the state. Now it's just like it's all over the place. It seems like, and for me specifically, if you're not playing, if your team is not playing in um tournaments that coaches can go evaluate, then I just feel like you're wasting your money. But that's another question that you'll probably ask me later. But anyway, like I said, it's just more politics than ever. And my advice to parents about it, try your best to be involved, but not make it about you. And I say be involved because these kids need you more than ever right now, because you want to have some sense in life a little bit, and you understand how most of you probably understand how business works. So a lot of this is more business than anything. So you want to make sure that your money's not being wasted. If your child is paying $600 a weekend to play travel ball, that's probably not a good investment.
No.
It's probably not. That's just what it's come to now. Back then when I played, or when even before my time, that was the norm. You know, that was just what it was. So again, be involved, but try your best to not make it about you. So ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask the tough questions, because you need to know if you are paying. And if I'm not saying nothing crazy if you are or not, but like if you are paying, you need to know where the money's going to, X, Y, and Z, how your child is being involved, because you don't want your child, if your child is sitting on the bench in an AAU program, that ain't the place for her. Because again, you need to be seen, and there's only a few weekends that coaches can even go and evaluate. So one, if you're not even going to those tournaments, it's a waste of time. And two, if you are going to them tournaments and you're not being seen, you probably need to find another team. That's what it is, because I'm sorry, I'm already knowing who I'm coming to see. So now if your child is not getting in the game at all because she's the 9th or 10th, another thing, if there's some of these rosters be having 13 kids, like where'd that come from? Like I'm used to my AU team, it was 9 of us. It wasn't even 10, it was 9 of us. And we didn't even pay, and we got our looks and we did what we had to do. But now I'm seeing full rosters on teams, and it's just like, you have to understand, y'all, it's a business. Somebody not paying. So somebody paying for somebody else's child to play while yours is not playing. So you got to be smart enough to put your pride to the side and see that and be like, okay, I need to find you somewhere, because kids don't know no better. They want to play for the Nike team. They want to play for the Adidas team. They want to play with I play with Kalina Smith. All right, yeah, but you don't play. Mm-hmm. You might be under the team, but you don't play. So like, what is that really doing for you? So you got to be a little bit selfish in that spot of doing that. But I'm going off track a little bit, but because it's so crazy to me, because I was talking to my guy in Arizona, and I did not know that how deep NIL was getting to where like it's in a high school. Like kids is really, it's so much money involved now, and it's nothing that I thought I was getting into when I wanted to do this. Like this being my dream job, I never saw it getting to this point. But I'm not running from it. You got to adapt. You just got to adapt, man. It's more of a business than anything now. And it's just, I don't know, man. The grassroots. I'm thankful that I'm at the collegiate level. It ain't no too much better, but at least there's a little bit of foundation here, and there's boundaries with certain things. The grassroots level, I have no idea how it works, and I know it's messy, man. But all I say is, parents, you need to be involved, but just don't make it about you. Be involved and make sure you're doing right by your child, but don't make it about you.
Well, you know when it comes to NIL, man, and this is why I think a lot of people, if you gain interest from a school like, excuse me, Oak Hill, right? The coach over there, we talked about earlier, when she was at Kentucky, she was over the NIL.
Right.
So to have somebody to go from college to high school essentially and be able to have it to where if you go there, she can put you on game about NIL, because basketball is a business through and through. It's been a business for a very long time. And it's even more so a business now when you consider NIL, right? Because these kids are getting paid, and they're getting paid big money, from not just from schools, but also just from, we talked about Kalina Smith, right? Her and Anthony Black's brother got signed to ESPN, right?
Mm-hmm.
So actually Beckham Black, they got signed to ESPN. So that should let you know something, man. It's a business through and through, and they're getting to these kids a lot earlier than having to wait for them to get to college or even the NBA or the WNBA or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want the next face. They want to have those representatives of, okay, who's the next who's the next him, who's the next she, or her. So I think when it comes to the parents spectrum of everything, I think parents, like as you said, they need to get knowledgeable in the game of basketball, because it's not just a game anymore. It is a through and through business. Absolutely.
And you have to know, like, I'm like how you said that. Like, so for example, when your child is talking to these college coaches and they finally speak to you or not, don't just be naive to this scenario. Oh my God, I'm talking to college coaches, I'm good. Ask these questions, because you just need to know. You need to know the landscape of what your child is getting into, because you don't want to get taken advantage of. And then this just for the knowledge, because you might have another child. So when you go through this routine again, or if you happen to go through this again, you'll know what it looks like and what it is, because it's still kind of a gray area for me. And that's one thing I need to work on, is learning the business side of it. But part of me is like, part of it's pushback, because again, I didn't get into it for this. I'm in here for the love of the game. So like, realizing how big of a business it is now, I'm just like, man, like, I gotta adapt. I had to adapt. So for parents, be involved, ask those questions, understand what revenue share is, understand what NIL really means, understand X, Y, and Z when it comes to that type of stuff. So you're not just being a pawn in this scheme.
Absolutely. I love the dialogue. It's just making sure everyone is up on their game when it comes to the business side of basketball is truly important.
And last thing, my bad. Last thing too, you gotta be supportive. You gotta be supportive through this too, because this is a lot. I'd say make it about making the kid's decision. That's why everybody say, it's your child's decision. But just be supportive, because the minute you start thinking about what you can get out of it, you're not doing right by your child. You're just not doing right, and it's hard. I'm not speaking from experience, but I know it's hard when you're hearing these numbers and you're realizing what you're capable of getting, when you shouldn't even be looking at it that way, because it's your child. But just be supportive, because it can be overwhelming. That's why I'm saying is ask the right questions, so you're able to receive it and give it back to your child, so that they understand. Because the way this business is moving, and how much is the business is now being shown to people involved, I know these kids still don't understand. They still don't truly understand what's happening, or what they're going to receive, or what they're signing, or anything like that. So I lean more towards the parents to be able to be involved while not making it about themselves, but also being very supportive in the situation.
Absolutely. So I kind of want to piggyback off of the advice for parents, right? With my next question. So, what advice would you give the parents of talented young players trying to navigate the recruiting process?
Mm. And it's funny because I have a few parents of kids that I've like formally recruited and like I just moved on so they couldn't, their kids probably weren't good enough for where I'm at now, whatever. And we've had conversations like that. And you have to realize who the student athlete is as far as we call them PSA, so as a potential student athlete. So you've watched your child play years and ago now, and I'm hoping that you guys watch their sports. So you kind of know what level she is literally by she's being recruited by. So I say that to say for advice for parents is, again, you got to ask questions. You got to ask questions. No question is a bad question. If you don't know, you don't know. But one thing you don't want to do is go into these rooms and not know what's going on, and then you're just signing your child off to some things. So continue to ask questions, continue to be involved. Nothing better than seeing a parent that's actually involved instead of not them just being there for the visit because their child is so good. Like, it's nothing worse than seeing a parent be on a visit or be involved with their child and they don't really know what's going on. They just know that the kid's good at basketball. And like, I'm being very transparent. For us, it's like, oh, that's gonna be an easy get. We know how to for a coaching staff, like, oh, it's an easy get. Like, cause see, she don't know no better. To be honest with you, they don't know no better. So we can do this and do that. Be good. Don't be that parent walking in that room and not knowing what your value is as far as your child, right? So make sure you're asking those type of questions again, and just be aware and be up to date on the landscape of it. Like I said, it's changing every day. Like we just passed the 5-for-5 rule. A lot of parents, I don't know if they even notice that, what that means for the younger kids coming up now. So like that changes. I feel bad for the 27 class. We have a good class coming in though, and we're not done yet, but that changes a lot now. So if a kid gets 5 years now, I might not recruit that position no more for the next upcoming year because I already got my experienced kid here. So if I can I rather try to keep her than try to bring a freshman in to replace her because she actually has another year now and it's legit now. It's a rule pass. So knowing those type of things and then being able to apply it to your situation is big. And then understand, like, during the recruiting process, realize who's actually for you. Realize who actually is taking the time to learn your child. That's taking the time to actually learn you. Don't be bought. As simple as that, parents. Do not be bought. As we're talking about how big of a business this is and how much money is involved, if that money moves you, if that money is what's the driving force for you, 9 times out of 10, it's probably not the best decision for you. And again, it varies. And I'm not saying it's not supposed to be a intricate part to your decision, but that can't be. If the money is the main thing for you, then you're just gonna get bought. And then when things don't go your way, because what you also have to understand, parents, is that or student athletes too, when you get to sign these contracts, there's an expectation. So therefore, if you don't meet your expectation, you know what happens. If you're a professional athlete and you don't meet expectations, you get shipped off, or you get your contract reduced. Things like that. This is happening now in real time in college athletics. So again, you have to understand what, as a whole, as a family, what your child is actually getting into, because it's not just your child getting a 4-year scholarship, everything paid for now. Now it's we're having conversations every season, at the end of every season, about your roster. You don't know if you want to keep a kid. If you want to keep a kid, you don't know if this kid's going to stay because they're getting calls or they're getting tampered about getting more money.
Right.
So it's easy for me to say it, and I'm also not necessarily on that side of it. So, but that's just the type of advice I give, because there are good coaches in this profession still, and there is coaches still that like to build a relationship. But if you're just gonna get bought, then you're probably not in it for the right thing. So for parents, that's my biggest thing: is ask the right questions, be involved, and make sure you fully understand what your child is getting into, because it can be very overwhelming for an 18-year-old kid.
Hey, I have nothing to add to that. You that was beautifully said. I mean, this is
About that stuff, man. It's crazy how it's just crazy what I'm blessed to be able to see it on a day-to-day basis, but like it's insane like how big these decisions can be for these young kids. And it's a lot, it's so much money involved. And we just talking women's basketball. I can only imagine how it is for football recruits or men's basketball recruits or even baseball, softball. Like it's insane, man. But you gotta know what you're getting into.
Man, I got to talk to my guy, Coach Kelvin Lewis. Shout out to him, Georgia Tech. And on that episode, we talked about some of the crazy things that's getting bought for these kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
At Baylor, they had a football player. The school literally bought him a mansion, 2 luxury cars, just to come there, just to come there, and he got money on top of that. So it's like this is becoming outrageous, right? Like, what happened to the love of the game? And
right.
I'm all for players getting paid while they're in school, all for it, but some things are just absurd, right?
Right. And who am I to tell you? That's what, like, on the back side of it is like, who am I to tell you to pass that up? I don't know if I could do it, but I'm just telling you from being on this side of it. I don't know if I was in your shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. I'm all for the players being paid. I'm all for it, or for them to get what they're owed or deserve. But if it's everywhere, make sure you're choosing. Make sure you have a list of what matters most outside of the money, and make sure those type of things are getting. Because at that point, now you're just you do want somebody to care for your child, right? Outside of basketball or outside of the sport, right? Because at that point, if you're just going for the money, you're literally just a pawn. You are just somebody that's on my team. And the minute you don't do right by that contract, or I don't feel like you deserve what's on that contract, I'm gonna ship you out. Shout out to my staff here. I mean, obviously money is a part of it, but I think we do a really good job of recruiting kids and understanding how to still build those relationships, while also making sure that business side gets taken care of, but also you realizing that certain things are going to get taken care of on the back end of that. And good people, like people that actually care about athletes or student athletes and actually love basketball. That's what I've only been here a month, but I can say that from the conversations we had through the recruiting process. We work day in and night out to make sure that we're finding the right kids. And there's other staffs that still do that. So that's why I'm saying it can be, you can get both. You can get your cake and eat it too in that process if you do it the right way.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm gonna have to call you Coach Zay with the sauce, because that was that was wonderful.
I get passionate about that stuff a little bit. So
hey man,
I get off track, but
it's all good with me, because at the end of the day, where you find passion, where you find love. That's my saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to go into my next question for you, Coach Zay. So, what does it take for a high school player to stand out to college coaches today?
So yeah, that's such a because you have the portal, right? So there are some coaches, you still go evaluate the high school kids, but then there's some people like, I'm going through the portal first. But specifically for a high school kid, and what makes you stand out to coaches today, like I told you, those 5 S's we spoke about earlier: size, speed, skill. Are you smart? And are you a high spirit or high character kid? Those 5 things always can get you looked at. But also, if you're able to know the type of player you are now, like if you know what you're going to be able to, like I said, knowing the 2 good things you're good at, are you good at those things right now? And can you do those things consistently? What is your role? Do you know your role? And I know that sounds like kind of not contradicting, but you're probably like, how will I know that? Well, if I'm watching you play for 3 days, I know when you get on that floor, if you do these certain things consistently, or I know if you're playing with X, Y, and Z, you have to be able to do this on the floor. If you do these things consistently, I know that you understand you got to get on the floor to do X, Y, and Z. So that means I know if I get you on my team and in the next year or 2, I can plug you in to be able to say, you know what, go out here. I need you to give me, you're only going to play 12 minutes. Can you give me 6 rebounds? Can you find a way to just get on the glass consistently? Okay. Can you do that? So again, the 5 S's, and then figuring out how good you are as a player or what you're good at as a player, and being extremely good at it. Whatever your niche is or whatever your thing is, if you're really good at creating an advantage on offense, as far as if you are you good at putting two on the ball, because a lot of the time that's how simple basketball is to me. My whole goal as a guard is to try to put two on the ball. Because if I put two on the ball, that makes the defense have to rotate. And when the defense has to rotate, I got the advantage because then they're flying around trying to. And a lot of the time, teams are not well at communicating. So that's another thing. So after the 5 S's, do you have two things are you really good at, and can you do it consistently? And can you just communicate? Can you communicate through the chaos? Can you communicate through the good, through the bad, on the floor, off the floor? And communication is loud. It don't have to be your words, y'all. It's body language. It's high fiving. It's bigger than just you saying stuff out your mouth. So with all that being said, those are a few different things, but and all in all, just being consistent at whatever it is that you're good at. If you can show consistency while you're in high school, that gives you a really good chance of getting looked at and being a Lady Raider. Again, we have our own criteria, certain things, but being good at two different things, being able to communicate on and off the floor, and the 5 S's are big ways for you to get recruited.
Love it. Love it, love it. I for all my listeners, for everyone, like I said, if you're trying to become a Red Raider, hey, Coach Zay, he's telling you what they're looking for at the University of Texas Tech or Texas Tech University.
There you go. Yeah, you good.
All right, my man. So I want to get into some fun and inspirational stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So we're almost done, and it's crazy because I'm very much so enjoying this conversation.
Likewise, appreciate you. I appreciate you having me here for sure.
Ain't no problem, my man. Like I say, it's a blessing you came on, my man.
Yes, sir.
So, what's one thing most people don't know about you or your coaching style?
Good question. So for the people that I'll speak for like you said, the people that don't know, I have a really good balance of being aggressive but poised. Aggressive but poised. I take a lot of pride. Yeah, I'm aggressive, but I'm poised at the same time. So I say that to say, like, I know when I can't preach something to my kids and I can't be able to show it. So if I'm preaching to you guys that you got to be able to be poised through chaos, and you can't be too high, too low. Who am I to come out there and the first time you turn the ball over, I flip on you instantly? You know, there's got to be like a balance between that. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm very poised. I don't mind teaching you. I don't mind giving you instruction. I don't mind, like one thing I've learned that I do, like just regularly, like when I'm working out individually with a kid and I see they're going hard and they're winded, I'll just start talking to you. I don't know if they notice it, but I'll just start giving you confidence boosters. Like, I'm telling you, when you get this, or when you do this, they're not gonna be able to stop you, or I'm teaching them the game as they're catching their breath. So I don't mind having that. I've learned nothing but patience in my time here with just working in women's basketball, because that's one thing I lacked. And I always thought I wish I played baseball, because I was like, I wish I could have worked on my patience, being at the plate, being able to watch, work on my patience. But as I've grown and as I'm having this conversation with you, I'm realizing that's the biggest thing that they taught me is patience through that. So part of my coaching philosophy, like I said, I'm very aggressive, but poised at the same time. I like to go fast. I like to go hard, but I'm poised with it, not out of control. And that's one thing we've been teaching our kids this month. We got 6 freshmen. So Coach Walters has been very big on, he'll say things and he'll be like, I'm kind of contradicting myself, but you guys got to understand, I tell you go fast, but you got to be able to control it. You can't go fast out of control, because that's when you mess up and you have bad habits. Mm-hmm. You got to learn how to control pace, whether you're on the floor, off the floor, things of that nature. So that's kind of how my coaching style is. I'm very aggressive, but I'm poised to the point where I'm never too high, I'm never too low. I try to be really good at that, especially during in game, like as far as reacting and stuff and all that. Like I'm very poised, and I'm a 2K player. All right, so my boys that I play with all the time, they'll tell you that, like, I'm always like next play. Like I'm telling them, like I told you earlier, like we're always like next play or like, oh, that's a bad shot, get it back. I'm always saying little things like that in the nature of it. That's just kind of how I've been molded and my time in being a coach within women's basketball. So the best way to describe it, if you didn't know me, would be aggressive but poised through adversity or through any situation we make. And like I tell my players all the time, I take it serious. So I prep for practice. I prep for games like I'm playing. So like I have my routine. I'm on game days. I make sure we have pregame meal, but I work out before the game. I make sure I'm listening to music. I'm walking down to the court. I'm listening to music just like they are. Practice. I'm stretching like they are. Like I'm prepping just like they are, because for me, every day is an opportunity for me to work on those type of skills that's gonna make me hopefully a really good head coach one day.
From the sounds of it, you're gonna be an awesome head coach one day, and hopefully by that time I could be an assistant coach.
we working, man. We working to get to that point for sure.
We working for sure. So, Coach Zay, my last question, my man. So, if you could give one piece of advice to aspiring coaches or young players chasing their dreams, what would it be?
For me is looking at me right now, y'all. Listen to me. I'm living proof. And obviously believing in the Lord, but I'm living proof that you can get whatever you want out of this life, but you gotta work. You gotta work, and you gotta make sure your moves or your steps align with what you say you want. For example, I knew when I got hurt in high school, I didn't even tell y'all that part. I broke my pinky toe, and I was out for like 14 months and ended up missing. Yeah, so I broke my pinky toe in March of 2014, and I didn't walk again until May 2015. So my point is, I knew after that situation, I knew that I had to do whatever I could to find a way to stay in basketball. I didn't really understand how I was going to do it yet, but I knew I was going to put my mind to it. You just got to work. You can do it. You can literally, y'all, I'm telling you, this is my dream job. Like me sitting on this, I remember being 18 and I'm telling my college roommates, like, I'm going to be doing this, and I'm going to be doing that. And I've experienced it. It's insane, but all because of work, though. And obviously there's a little bit of luck in there, and certain things worked out for me, but all of it was work. Like I made sure all this was earned. I say that all this was earned. Me being able to be a Lady Raider and be in Lubbock, Texas this year is all been earned, and I just put the work in. So, but you got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice. There was a many a times I missed trips, many a times I missed birthdays, many a times I lost friends because I just couldn't make it to this or that, or even relationships. If you really want something out of life, there's going to be sacrifices. And I know you probably heard this before, but I'm living proof of it. I sacrificed a lot to make my dreams come true. And I'm a living testimony of it. And I'm living in reality right now of things that I prayed for daily. So I'm very grateful to be in this position. And that's the best piece of advice I can give to you. Just make sure whatever you want, you can do it, but you got to work, and you got to make sure your moves align to so you can get to where you want to be. So example, I knew for me to be a coach at the college level, the only way I was going to be able to do that without being a player or without had played was going to be a student manager. So I did that. From there, I knew I had to be a GA. Again, I was a male on the women's side. So it's not that many of us, but it's already hard as that, right? So I knew I had to be a GA so that I could still build my resume and still show that I was able to do these things. And then as I got older and as I started working with different coaches, I got to build trust between them, and I just kept working. And now my resume and myself, just me as a person speaks for itself because of the client, not the clientele, but the networking I have done. I know a lot of coaches now, and it's like it's a dream come true. Now I just had a conversation with a coach on the phone earlier, and we were just spitballing and talking about player development. I'm like, man, I was 18 dreaming about this. Like, it's insane. So like I said, I'm living testimony of it, man, but you got to work, and anything you want out of life, you can make it happen. I'm telling you, I'm living testimony of that for sure.
Well, guys, that's it. Look, listen. Hey, I want to say shout out to my main man once again, Coach Zay, for coming on the podcast. Guys, if you're listening, Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Coach Zay, you want to do the honors and let the people know they can find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at all mine are the same. So I'm on Instagram at YOOO_Fernandez, and that's my Twitter as well. So you guys can make sure you follow me on there, and make sure you guys tune in to the Lady Raiders this year. We're gonna have a good season.
And there we have it, guys. This is your boy TJay.
It's your boy Coach Zay.
And my main man, Coach Zay.
Yes, sir.
And we logging out.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Wreck 'em.